This discussion focuses on cattle facilities and animal handling. Proper handling facilities and procedures are important for many of the management practices in a beef cattle operation. Things like veterinary care, which includes vet castration, dehorning, vaccinations, and administration of pharmaceutical products, in addition to weighing and sorting, weaning, loading and transportation. And always we need to be concerned about the safety and the stress-free handling for animals and their caretakers. Proper animal handling is a responsibility of all personnel who work with livestock, not just the owner. This means that all animal handlers need to have a good understanding of animal behavior and animal handling techniques to minimize stress and maximize safety for both the animals and the people working with them. Personnel training should be included in all management operations. An understanding of an animal's flight zone and point of balance is an important component, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Proper use of animal handling and restraining devices, how to avoid frightening cattle, and the importance of minimizing sudden movements, loud noises, and other actions that frighten cattle. The concept of basic feeding and nutritional management of cattle, recognition of early signs of stress and distress and disease, recognition of cold and heat stress, how to respond with appropriate care and actions when animals need intervention, proper administration of animal health and pharmaceutical products, and how to perform routine animal health procedures. Patience and experience are important when handling and moving cattle. If we try to move cattle too quickly, it can lead to bruises, injection site damage, in the case of processing of cattle, animal and human injuries, and incorrect record keeping. We know that stress caused by improper handling can result in lower conception rates in the cow herd, reduced vaccination effectiveness, reduced immune and rumen function, and increased economic losses through shipping fever and excess shrink in feeder cattle. Only trained and experienced personnel should operate restraining equipment in the processing of cattle. Make sure that we avoid overcrowding the crowding pen to optimize animal movement and minimize stress. Avoid pushing cattle with a crowding gate. Allow the animals to move forward naturally. Handling is safer when animals are moved quietly. Again, avoid loud noises and sudden movements. Avoid excessive use of electric prods, which increase animal agitation and stress, as well as increase the potential danger to handlers. Agitated large animals are easier and safer to move if they are given an opportunity to calm down before proceeding. It often takes up to 20 minutes for an agitated animal's heart rate to return to normal. Key here is patience. An important concept in livestock handling is the animal's flight zone or personal space. When an animal's flight zone is entered, the animal will typically move away. When a person moves outside the flight zone, the animal will stop. The size of the flight zone depends on the cattle, their temperament, and how they have been previously handled, as well as familiarity with their surroundings and the people working with them. The edge of the flight zone can be determined by slowly walking up to the animal. If the flight zone is penetrated too deeply, the animal will most likely bolt and run away or past the handler. The animal will most likely stop moving when the animal handler retreats from the flight zone. All handlers need to understand the importance of the animal's point of balance. This is an imaginary line perpendicular to the animal's shoulder. If you want to move an animal forward, move behind the point of balance. If you want an animal to move backwards, move in front of the point of balance. Animals move forward and backwards depending on where the handler is at. Animals move forward when an animal handler walks past the point of balance in the opposite direction of the desired movement. For example, when an animal is in an alley, walking in a path past the animal's head and past the shoulder will move the animal forward and past you. There are some tips that can be used to make animal handling more efficient. Number one, Design and operate alleys and gates in a manner that makes it easy for animals to go where you want them to go. Avoid creating obstacles for cattle such as shadows on the ground, sharp contrast in animal handling facility color and lighting, and objects that can flop in the breeze such as a jacket on the fence. When animals balk in a handling facility, look at the facility for a reason and make appropriate adjustments. Number 2, work cattle in groups. Individual animals are much more likely to become agitated and hard to handle when they are isolated from a group. Number 3, call cattle rather than drive them whenever possible. A little effort in training animals to come when they are called can pay big dividends when it's time to move them in the future. Feeding a little grain or supplement can be used to train animals to a call. In intensive grazing situations, cattle learn quickly that a call means it's time to move to a new pasture or grazing paddock. Number 4, the use of one-way gates that open to allow efficient flow of animals into and out of pens makes animal handling efficient. Avoid slippery surfaces that reduce animal footing and cause animals to slip and fall, such as smooth concrete or ice. Number 6, again, quiet handling is a key element. Facilities should be designed and constructed to take advantage of cattle's natural instincts. The size and complexity of a cattle handling facility is dependent on the number of animals in the herd. A good facility should contain the following components: a good head gate with a positive latch mechanism, a holding or squeeze chute that ideally can be adjusted for different size animals, a single file working chute, a crowding pen, which is often called a working tub, holding pens, and finally, scales that can facilitate collecting performance records and determine animal weight for correct pharmaceutical dosage. These can be placed under the squeeze chute or they can be part of the working chute. A loading chute could be added, and appropriately designed for the operation. In some cases, where only bumper hitch or gooseneck stock trailers will be loaded, the loading chute could be just the end of an alley. In other cases, the loading chute may need to accommodate loading and unloading of semi-trailers and require a different structure. The head gate is the most important part of the entire working facility. It needs to be sturdy, safe, and easy to operate and should work smoothly and quietly. There are 3 basic types of head gates. The first one is a self-catch. This one closes automatically when an animal moves into it and tries to move through it. The advantage is that one person can operate and work cattle. The disadvantage is that the animal needs to be released, and the following animal needs to be blocked from movement until the head gate is reset. The second type of head gate is a scissor stanchion. It consists of 2 halves that pivot at the bottom. The advantage is that it restricts animal movement, head movement up and down, but the disadvantage is that if an animal goes down, the scissor-type stanchion head gate can close off the animal's ability to breathe. The third type is a fully open stanchion. It consists of 2 halves that work like a pair of parallel sliding doors. The advantage is that animals can go down without risk of suffocation, but the disadvantage is that the animal's head's movement is much more flexible and it allows the animal to move their head up and down, basically the full length of the head gate. Regardless of which type head gate is selected, the latch mechanism should be a positive mechanism and not a friction latch. The squeeze chute is attached directly to the head gate. Width should be adjustable to accommodate different size animals. It should not be wider than 28 inches, and the most workable width is typically 26 inches. Desirable characteristics of the squeeze chute would be that they have a squeeze action to minimize animal movement when performing animal management practices. This squeeze action can be either a scissors type, okay, where it's hinged more at the bottom and folds in from the top. The advantage here is that it actually holds some of the animal weight, okay, when moving, and might be the more desirable type, where the other side is a parallel side and moves in uniformly from both sides when the animal is standing. Removable side panels also allow access to the animal's neck, side, and feet, and that is a desirable feature when trying to process or treat animals. The floor should be a non-slip surface to prevent animals from slipping and sliding, and that means that they will stand more quietly in the chute. And the last component of a desirable characteristic would be a palpation cage or surface gate that not only allows access to the back of the animal for management practices such as castration, artificial insemination, and rectal palpation, but it can also serve as a blocking gate in the working alley. The squeeze chute can be manual or hydraulically operated. I prefer the V-sided chutes to support animals, and it minimizes animals going down and choking. And I also prefer manual chutes for smaller operations where there's a number of people that operate the squeeze chute. The hydraulic squeeze chute takes a little bit of experience, and only experienced operators should use those. The working chute connects the crowding pen to the squeeze chute. The purpose is to hold cattle in a single file line so that they can enter the squeeze chute or loading area one at a time. The working chute sides should be solid. This will prevent animals from being distracted and seeing the squeeze chute, people, and trucks until they're almost upon that area of the handling facility. Whenever possible, the working chute should be at least 20 foot long, regardless of herd size. Straight working chutes can work, but curved chutes are recommended because they take advantage of the animal's natural circling behavior. An offset chute can also work well when the working chute is offset by 30 degrees as a maximum to prevent cattle from seeing the squeeze chute until they're almost there. The crowding pen is located at the back of the working chute. The size should be about 150 square foot to hold 6 to 10 animals. Circular crowding areas with solid sides or circular crowding tubs with solid sides are best. A funnel-shaped pen is an alternative to circular crowding tubs for smaller facilities. The holding pens should be located in an area that fit into the rest of the facility, but they must be easily accessible by man and animal. Gates that swing for easy movement into and out of the pens are a requirement. The size of the holding pen should be approximately 20 square foot per animal. Scales are an option, but are essential if you're going to be performance testing, where you want to evaluate gains, or when you want to determine animal size to correctly use pharmaceutical dosages. A single animal scale is most useful. A typical location is either under the squeeze chute or in the working chute prior to the squeeze chute. A loading chute ideally should be located directly off the crowding pen. The floor surface can be either sloped or stepping. A maximum incline of 30%, which is about 3.5 inches of rise for every foot of incline, is recommended. Adjustable ramps are convenient when trucks or trailers of different heights are used. A loading chute length should be at least 12 foot long and should be 26 to 30 inches wide. There are tables available from the State Extension Program that provide additional detailed facility specifications such as length, width, height, square footage requirements for chutes, feed bunks, lots, etc.